and it doesn't like it won't, nothing can bother me anymore because I've been called so many names.
Do you seek that information out?
Yeah, can you pass it by?
You?
Yeah, can you just get past it, look over, not even let it register?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, I'll look at the comments like on the video you post on yours, and everyone is just saying like how annoying, dumb, fake, like all this oh, she must be fucking her, like all this crazy like shit. And I'm like, oh, it doesn't. Literally, I've heard that since literally I was 4 years old. So for like, to me, it's literally nothing.
Who was saying that when you were 4?
Oh my God. I was like, I remember like preschool, like I got like some, not so much the slutty things. The slutty things came when I was like 6. I remember like 6 being like,
way
like,
older, way later. Right.
But yeah, like being like, oh, you're fucking this teacher and all this like crazy. And I didn't even know what that meant. Yeah. In like 1st grade. And I was like, wait, what? Like I didn't know what that meant. Like they're like, oh, you sucked his like penis. And I had no idea what a penis was. I had no idea what sucking was. Like I had no clue. So I mean, I've heard like stuff or like fat or like anything, like dumb. Like I've heard all that shit my whole life. So it's like, it literally doesn't affect me. Yeah, but I don't think you know you're a victim. Like my teacher was having sex with me when I was 6 years old, and I didn't think anything was wrong with it. And up until like, I still don't think, like sometimes I like
6 or 16.
6.
Oh, that's awful.
And so I didn't know. Yeah, but like for me, I was like, oh, you know, it was like attention from like an older guy. Like I thought it was kind of cool. And then you realize like, oh, that's like some fucked up shit. But like, if you would have asked me like as a teenager, I was like, no, super cool. Like actually, like I didn't know it was sex at the time, right? You didn't know it was sex at the time, but then I was just like, oh no, that was like, I liked it, you know, whatever. And it's like, but a lesser version of that is when I was in David's vlog. From a very young age, people not believing me, people telling me from a young age, from 6 years old, someone saying that I provoked a sexual situation at 6 years old. And people believing that. Well, she did this. She said she liked this movie, so this is why I did this. And people are like, oh, well, okay, that makes sense. Well, you know, Trisha at 6 years old, she watched Taxi Driver and described this explicit scene to me between a 13-year-old hooker and a grown man. So, like, that's why it happened. And a judge being like, yeah, actually, that makes sense. You're right. So, okay, Trisha, did you say that? Yeah, I did say that. Okay, so that you deserve this. Same thing as a fucking teenager. Well, she wore this, you know, and she came into my classroom and locked the door. So, like, it's okay. Or that's why I did it. That's why I was provoked. She was a temptress. Just like the fucking David vlog. Well, Trisha did this, and she flirted with David, and so therefore all the time she said she was uncomfortable and didn't consent and didn't want to vlog. That's okay.
You know, sexual assault at my school and stuff like that. It was, and being told from a young age, like I'm like, oh well, she wanted it, and she did this, and she dresses this way, and she talks about this. I remember my teacher put blame on me because I talked about how much I loved the movie Taxi Driver, which was about you know, Jodie Foster being 13 and like seducing Robert De Niro and Harvey Keitel and stuff, and like I talked about that movie so much, and I idolized and idealized. I remember opening up to this a separate teacher that I had an incident with about the Jerry Lee Lewis movie, and Winona Ryder was 13 years old, or you know, she was playing a 13-year-old having sex with her 21-year-old cousin. I said, I hope that like when I was 12 at the time, and I was like, I hope when I'm 13, I hope I can have sex with somebody and stuff like that. And then, you know, so when they got confronted about it, their argument was like, well, she said she like wanted to like experience sex before she was 13, and then it was totally on me. And it's like, so I have that in my head that everything's totally on me. The best is, oh my God, you're so obsessed with them, like just get over them. And like, just like the trauma I experienced from ages 6 to 12, I still check up on that guy that assaulted me, and I always will follow what he does, because it's just like this, I don't know how to describe it. It's this grasp these people have on me.
It was a teacher and another teacher, a different teacher. And he's like, well, she told me she liked the movie Taxi Driver. So like, or Cape Fear. I'm sorry, Cape Fear. He's like, so I just put my thumb in her mouth to suck it. Anyways, it's a lot, but.
Let's say you endure it for years. I didn't say anything until 15 years after I was molested as like a 6-year-old. Does that mean that like, well, she didn't talk about it for 15 years, so it didn't happen. She didn't speak up, so obviously it wasn't that big of a deal. Fuck you, AB.
Well, you know, Trisha at 6 years old, she watched Taxi Driver and described this explicit scene to me between a 13-year-old hooker and a grown man. So, like, that's why it happened. And a judge being like, yeah, actually, that makes sense. You're right. So, okay, Trisha, did you say that? Yeah, I did say that. Okay, so that you deserve this.
At 6 years old by a teacher for years. And I told my therapist for years that I was okay with it, even at the age of 12. Having sex with a teacher. And I was like, but I thought it was cool. I thought I was fine with it, so that makes it okay? I said I was okay so many times to my parents, my family, to even my therapist. I was like, it was fine, actually. I liked it. I was cool. I was the teacher's favorite. I liked older men. I was attracted to it. I wanted it. It was very Cape Fear, you know? And like in my head, I really did think I wanted it at the time. But like looking back, I was like, oh my God, that like fucked me up.
Can you talk about what happened in childhood that was so murky?
There was a lot of like, there was a lot of stuff with like older guys that like I thought was like normal, and I still try and process it, like, with like the touching of my boobs or talking about my boobs, like hugging from behind and like stuff like this, like, but was it okay? Obviously now I know it's not.
How old were you and how old were the guys?
The first memory I have was a summer camp when I was like 6 years old, and I remember like
6 years
like,
old.
I'm gonna like, yeah, and that was like, this is something that like yeah, it's a lot because I remember it like again, I remember it, but then it's like I don't remember like leading up to it because this was like a summer camp, and I just remember like all the details, but I don't remember going to my therapist, like, is it penetration, is it just outside stuff, like it's all so foggy to me, like that part doesn't feel, and I don't know, it's just there's a lot that I've never talked about even to like my therapist, and it's like I'm finally talking about it, but it's so hard because I don't remember so much of it, and I don't know.
Like the only way the motivation stopped when I was a kid was when I started gaining weight. And I remember I went away for the summer with my dad, and I came back to school, and that same person, my abuser, was like, you got too fat. And I was 10.
So based on this clip with the Dr. Drew episode, that would mean Trisha was getting abused in Byron and when she would go visit her dad when she had to go to summer camp. And just a side note, Trisha never mentioned a summer camp in her book. You would think if her dad was sending her to camp every summer, like she said in the Dr. Drew live, that it would have been mentioned in her book. Her father had his kids with him, not shipped off to summer camp, and that's according to Trisha's book. Also, one other thing she mentioned in this wrestling video was she claimed that her neighbors were also essaying her. Check it out.
I've been sacrificed from 6 years old. From being called out for being a distraction by teachers to being molested by my neighbors, by people in power, people in authority.
Okay, so let's summarize all this. First, the teachers. According to Trisha, there were 3 teachers and all incidents happened at their school. 1 is the Riney allegations. 2 is the 6-year-old story with the movie reference. And I'm assuming possibly there was another 6-year-old incident since she said that she never talked about it when she went on mom's basement. So maybe there was another one in there somewhere. So I guess we will say that one is number 3. Then Trisha also stated there was another teacher at the age of 12 or 13 that also did something to her because of a different movie that wasn't Taxi Driver or Cape Fear. Or that could be another version of the Riney story, who knows, but I'm going to call that number 4 since it seems like a totally different story. Then also according to Trisha, they also got assaulted at the age of 6 in a camp in California, and they were also assaulted by their neighbors at an unknown age. So let's just say all of this is true, okay? Then why on Frenemies did they say in 2005 that was the worst year of their life? They were around the age of 17 in 2005. The other thing is, why did they say their teachers were coming to their house when they originally said it all happened at the school? Here's the clip I'm talking about for context. Check it out.
Pretty sure I was getting an R word by my teachers, and the principal didn't believe me, and I had to endure it every single day. I had to move school 4 times because teachers were being inappropriate, so thank you for that.
Well, the only
myself in 2005. That's why my band is 2005, because it was the most trauma of my life, because teachers wouldn't leave me alone and they'd come to my house and just R-word me.